Well, what is this thing? Welcome to the new live chat. Get off my screen. Jesus. Hi, people that aren't here yet or are watching in the archives. I'm Uncle Birch, and I can't even see. If there was somebody in there, I wouldn't be able to see it because it's white on white. Oh. This is Ask Uncle Birch number 8. 8 times I've done that. Hello. And some people. Hello, Moon and Spice. God. Turn as soon as I go on the air. That. There we go. I'm trying to position. I can see how many people. A bunch of people already. Hello. All right. Well, I was mailing you. What Spice? Sacred Grove is. Well, that's what we do at Uncle Birch. People ask stuff of mine, so I'll give you a lot of answers. But yeah, I'd want to have some stuff on hand. My curse breaker incense. I'd want to have. Hello from Trinidad, Tobago. Powder I'd want to have on hand. I always want to have graveyard dirt. You can do good things, you can do bad things. You got an occult store in the closet. Oh, they got shed, whatever you want to call it. Where I make all my stuff and ship all my office. So I tend to have the supplies that I need. I'm always going to want some frankincense on hand. Dragon's blood. I need to check. I think the price has gone up again and out of stock right now because it's such good stuff to have. Me grow. Gotta have it close by. Hold on. I'm getting there. I gotta have. Ooh. Tree model. Yes. Those I'd want to have. I mean, they're herbs. And rosemary, if you're a student of, that's one of the prime ingredients in study oil and study. Definitely want to be having some rosemary, but also it's very protective. Sacred to many deities. Some rosemary was used to sprinkle the equivalent of holy water, and then that got picked up. To this day, traditionally in some areas, they will be sprinkling their holy water with rosemary in some areas, and in other areas they'll be sprinkling it with rue. So it goes way back, but both of those for curse removal, and both of those I brews, and any of the brews that I'm making for curse removal, in addition to many other ingredients, definitely those. But I don't want to give away too much of that. You're in my class, Sherry, and in my class, I'm going to teach people how to do this professionally. I'm going to teach them how to do their own brewing. I'm not going to teach you people all that here on. Just ask it a bit more. But there, question. This is pretty much how it goes. People ask questions. Please try not to, if you're hearing a question, please try not to send it to me right then. If I look at it, it throws me off. So you got to wait your question. Then maybe you might have to ask your question several times. As you can see, so far, when it comes to witchcraft and magic, there are very few. Don't have a whole lot. There were a couple questions that were just way too in the Ask Uncle Birch's that I didn't really answer much. But the one-trick pony with a bunch of racetracks. And I am teaching. I started doing this again to ask for my year and a day course, and I taken probably a year off from teaching the year and a day. the way that I was teaching the internet. Hello, Nikki. Off from doing that because I moved a couple times. Finally, got settled here in Hollywood, and so now I'm doing it again. I'm doing my year-in-a-day courses, and I just started one. Sherry's first now. She's one of the students in that class, and I always had good demand. Something about taking a year off. The demand. I'm already scheduling the next year-in-a-day class. It's going to start May 1st, 2019. Got a video on my channel about that, or you can contact witchschool@gmail.com, which is, of course, WITCHSKEWL.com. At that course, you get signed up for the May 1st year-in-a-day course and all things witchcraft. Somebody else just said hi. I didn't see who you were, but hi. Yeah, basically, this is Ask Uncle Birch to keep me on my toes. People better because they're natural, inspired by bees. Natural candles are, however, I really like to look at words. I get hung up on the meanings of words sometimes improperly. You probably heard it, if you heard it from Uncle Birch, precise speech leads to precise thought. So you like to use the right words. When we say natural, everything came from Earth, and there's a combination of chemical components, things out of those. Paraffin is oft thought, to be, it's less healthy to burn in, and because it's a petroleum product. Now, last I heard, petroleum products back, well, they're coming from fucking dinosaurs, so natural. But to the other questions, yeah, I do that. I don't work with beeswax myself. I do not make beeswax candles. Mostly, it's you've got different molds you've got to do than using the wax that I normally use. I see somebody asking a question. Don't ask me a question when I'm answering a question. But the expense of beeswax, it's just, I would have beeswax cans of my shop for god-awfully long time, and then they gather dust. Beeswax candles gathered worse than other candles. Then even healing, nobody want to buy them. Just god-awfully expensive, and the plight of bees today, I can only imagine that price is skyrocketing. Honey's going up. The cost of your honey jar spell is going up because bees are just dying off. But then, the work that bees put behind things, that's in the wax. So there's something to be said about all of the small energies that went in to make that. But then I guess we could talk about, all of the large energies that rotted in the earth, the petroleum for the paraffin candle. At any rate, there's something to be said about beeswax. They also burn differently. They burn at different heat, different drippings. Thing, and I'm trying to make stuff that my stuff, the things I make. I don't have a whole lot of jewelry and trinkets and gifts. I probably should. It'd probably make more money. More my shop's geared towards magical practitioners, and they're gonna need a constant stream of supplies at a reasonable price. I am not cheap, and to get my brews, because I brew them in an old-fashioned way, and it takes long. So there's that. But, yeah. So that was the answer on beeswax candles. So that's how it goes. Somebody else had a question. If you can get that in before somebody else, I really can't queue people up. Cheap is paying for something that doesn't work. Yes. Never cheapen. your magic. But sometimes a lot of supplies on hand. Also, the meth beeswax is a whole different dyes and stuff. So you really got to have the beeswax candle set up. You can't mix the dyes. You got to have different molds. The plastic molds that tend to be used for image candles and that kind of stuff. Beeswax, too hot for that a lot of times, and I've seen it melt the wax molds. And you don't want that. You got to melted beeswax. So there goes your natural. So questions, type them. I do my best to answer them. Started doing this to get ready for the year-to-day teachings. I get the random questions all the time in the email, and I had taken a year off from doing that. Back in practice, but apparently I hadn't lost my footing. Tag messing with me on this jacket, trying to block it. All right, so see ya. Definitely a lot of people in there. I am Birch, if you don't know. I teach witchcraft. I make stuff for witchcraft. Lucky to live in a world where, you know, then stuff. Just about all my friends are witches or root workers, colonialists, or poleras, Orisha worshippers of various kinds. My world's magic. It's normal there, and I'm in Hollywood. And it's okay to be a freak here, but live and breathe witchcraft. Yes, and then there's Widdershins cast, which you can also see here on YouTube. Somehow I clicked something to where it rebroadcasts on YouTube, and I get a lot of hits on the podcast over in its host place on YouTube, and then there's video and SoundCloud and Tumblr, and it gets broadcast all over the place. So I get a decent amount of hits here on YouTube where people came to see video. They get my audio. So yeah, Widdershins every 5 p.m. at Spreaker.com/user/Widdershins. You don't know how to. Why the hell are you here, young whippersnapper? Get off my lawn. So I live and breathe with constantly. Have my courses up on Gumroad too, working with the Lunar mansions and add more oomph. So yes, I try and I try to line up my lunar times with the solar times. Different. Depending on the month, there will be a different appropriate magical time for the same brew, because well, I can't wait that long. Can't wait a year for that conjunction to happen again. But yeah, the combination of solar times and general astrological conditions, planetary movements, planetary hours, planetary days. Somehow there's several of these that come together. That's when I start brewing, and when they come together area, that's that brew cycle. Quite often a month for a lot of things. So me, I get a queue of people in my shop, and you got to take them. And the way that I brew them, it takes a while. So as I've been teaching my students, buy stuff ahead of time before you need it. How are you doing? I'm running out of oils. I'm going to be sending an order soon. I'm doing good. Sending an order. I missed it. 2 of them were on the screen at the same time. Doing pretty good, but as I was saying, get your order in before you need it. Think of the things you're going to need ahead of time, because it takes, to magically brew a brew, which I do, takes time. And a lot of times, like a month for some things, and then order came in. I will have to expand eventually, trying to do it myself. People want the stuff made by Uncle Birch. Hello, Rod and so that's the way I do it. I tend to think they work better that way. I don't keep back stock when somebody brews a name. Brew it for you. You could gift it to somebody, but still it's going to you. And magical timing too. So let's see. Sending love from Mexico. Wow. All over the place. South America and stuff. They recently wow. Wow. I was still trying to wrap my head. Question. My views on war, huh? Well, as you might imagine, on war, I mean, war is a terrible thing. If you do want war, there's something wrong with you. Historically, the kind of wars are those that are prepared for wars. When you are strong, when you are at your best, when you are at your side, nobody fucks with you. Same thing magically. If I can finish writing The Art of Magical Warfare, hopefully written in the style of Sun Tzu and The Art of War, these things will come together. Those of you that lifetime obsession with witchcraft, luckily the world ended up turning in a way that you can be a witch for a living. That can be your job. Lots of people being my job. I fell into my job at an early age. I was learning how to brew at 13 years old. I was learning my Saskatchewan. What's that? Canada? Anyway, so I believe in and armed. I teach an entire course in spiritual warfare. You can find it gumroad.com/witch school, which is, as you might know, is WITCHSKEWL. I will be teaching a variation of 3 of those classes at this year. That's August 11th in New Orleans. Teaching that, I will have to say, well-honed techniques, well-researched. I might have to shut that fucking chime up. That's okay, you gotta test me. Well-researched and honed techniques, but not necessarily things that I use all the time. The defense techniques, yes, I always have the defenses up, and I'm rarely going on the offensive. Counter strikes, I find myself doing on occasion, but I don't know. You're like, you put yourself out there like me. You're honest about your beliefs. You teach stuff that nobody else will teach, like spiritual warfare. You curse removal, and I do a lot of that for clients. And you develop a certain, let's not fuck with him reputation. People don't fuck with you. But when they do, you're ready for it. To be prepared. Be prepared for magical warfare, because this ain't no Wicca over here. And Wicca has been the dominant force for so long that people have deluded them that that's the only way. The harm done thing, white lie. Now, there's a huge magical landscape out here now, and a lot of groups, they don't have anything like I can And you know what? I'm here to tell you, I've spent plenty of when jealousy happens, when the chips fall, Wiccan will hex too. Wiccan will hex too. It's just it's a smoke screen. This harm none bullshit. Which is still human. Humans still do human shit. Humans have wars. 99% of the hexes that I've come across and had to either, remove from, teach them how to remove themselves, have been cast out of jealousy. The great majority by women on women, by women on men, jilted lovers, that kind of thing. And I don't really know of 1% that wasn't, but I hate absolutes. You use an absolute, it makes it really easy to show. And I need one example, and the theory's blown. So I don't tend to like to. I guess my views are prepared. Know it, study it. The priesthood in my system, in addition to medical text being required reading, is the fourth. Should check it out if you can handle it. Home. These kinds of things we need to know, and we're playing in this magical world, or living in this magical world, and it is like a bunch of feudal court systems. Everybody's got their little court. Am I not loud enough? Okay. Yeah, well, it's always a lot of traffic noise up here. I do my best thinking up here, above the city, and it's loud above the city. What's this? Yeah. So I believe we need to know the rules of war, interpersonal, politics, courtiers. This kind of stuff's covered in the little victims, and different traditions, having them, and to interact between all of these houses. We need to know the rules. There's rules. 48 laws of power is definitely one of those. 33 laws of military strategy. And even I think that author's got the laws of seduction. I haven't spent as much time with the other ones. Great audiobooks. I got them on my phone through iTunes. Good books. I'm not books, but okay. So those are, I guess, some of my views. See, that's what I'm saying. When you ask a question, I probably have too much to say about it. Let's see. So we're asking Uncle Birch. My audio is good. Okay. Thank you, Danielle. You joined us late. Try not to ask me a question as a man. Accidentally read it. It throws me off. I got my brain thinking of two different. It's just not a pretty sight. But almost any question, magically, I probably have something to say about it. 8 just of this. It's a little question. I just did a money jar spell following my custom-made tutorial for honey jar from Freighter X. Okay. Jeanette, let her. Them asked, I don't know if it was a man or a woman. Yeah, I kind of remember my honey jar. It says that you can do it often, but in one of those videos you said you can burn candles regularly on honey jar. About a month. Yeah, most I would be advising that all of the ritual components at the end of the spell be destroyed, moved from this physical plane, all of the wax drippings from the candles. When I had my physical shop, there was a lot of altars and temple spaces for different things. There was more temple spaces than retail spaces. Maybe why I didn't get rich off of that, I don't know. So a lot of magic's going on in the store. We would save the wax drippings, and every month I hosted the full moon ritual. And hold on just a second. That bell going. I would host the full moon ritual, and I would bring all of the month's candle drippings from all of the various spells. Damn it, that didn't work. I would bring them, and I would use them to start the ritual. It's great, wax is great for starting fires, but it's the full moon fire ritual going to be coming up, and the fire's going to burn all gone. And we would find shortly after that full, all of these little spells would start manifesting. And the reason they hadn't manifested was because there were still physical components that existing on this plane. Saw it in many fashions. Nature pours a vacuum, and we're using many magics to create this astral counterpart on the, and then removing part from the physical plane, astral component to move to make a new physical component. Laws of metaphysics, I guess we call that, but it's natural laws that were kind of forcing nature's hand. Now, a honey jar, however, is entirely different thing. The drippings from the candles burned on the money jar, yeah, of those each time. Although a lot of people just keep dripping the money jar till you can't even see the honey jar anymore. I have honey jars like that. I probably have one right over here somewhere. So kind of both. But honey jars are a magical component that really worked. It's not a one-time spell. You do your thing, you do your launch it to the universe and forget that you did it. Some of those things, the honey jar working, and it not traditional. Honey jars traditionally comes from hoodoo, and then somehow candle magic does get picked up in a lot of hoodoo later down the road. A lot of the color schemes that we'll find south of the border, Latin magic, specifically like we see a pink candle for a love spell and a blue candle for a love spell on a boy. That's color differential comes from the Latin magics. We come from the botanic, and Orisha magic. All that's gonna play into that. But so then candle magic cross into hoodoo, and then somehow they start getting performed on honey jar. But so honey jar is something you continually work. We'll start them and never open it again. There's some honey jars that I would have going by the spice those up. Put some more heaters in there, some cinnamon, some galangal, ginger. Heating, because this is the thing that I found, And I hope I'm answering your question and other the other things I don't ever hear anybody talk about. The thing that I've noticed, see, I luck for a long portion of my life, I got to work magic all day, every day, being my job, and do it in a public space and see how it affected people, see how it affected situations around it. Like that business honey jar. When the candle would burn down to the metal on top of the jar, and you better have a metal lid, come on. Most times the flame would keep burning on top of the lid, just to get all the way down to where the wick's just on top of the lid, and you could see the honey getting heated up, and you sometimes even, that's when I saw them spells every time. The heating, so that's honey jars with candle magic. I don't know exactly how that's working before honey jars used candle magic. Oh, look, there's a pursuit. Maybe we'll get to see the police chase somebody by the house in a minute. Okay, I'll keep an eye on the sirens. Oh, I think I hear the sirens. We get to see lots of pursuit on the TV around here. Anyway, so I played with that theory, and then eventually I moved to the boonies for a while, and I had a fireplace, and it was really cold. And we used a fireplace all the time, and playing with just the honey jar place and heating up the honey jar, and the stuff started happening. The connection between on the honey jar cannot be overstated. Absolutely, all of my notes will show the same thing. That's when and I'm working the honey jar, every day. Well, then so I started to think, well, all right, what? Double pillar candles on the honey jar, more votives, because I want it to burn faster and get down to that. How does one make? Oh, I missed it. Damn it. Yes. I think that was a joke, but heats. The heats has a lot to do with it. How often do you advise to keep empowering the honey jar spell? Depending on the thing. I mean, like the business honey jar, every day it was going. Full moon, and then okay, so then I'm more and candle magic. And then I'm playing with the moon, and that's not hoodoo. That's witchcraft and Wicca. It's coming from Lunar side of which moon influences in that. So when the moon is waxing, I'm breathing in. When the moon's from the money. Well, I can't see any cops yet, so let's see. Yes. So using pretty much upon lighting carved upon the candle. It varies, but so the whole time, because generally your typical lunar spell, you're going to work one time and let it go and try not to think about it for a certain amount of moon cycles, at least one, preferably 3, before you ever even think about the spell again. That's kind of tough to do. People answering a question. Don't do that. Yeah, you're throwing me off. But I need fire. I have played a lot with magical fires. I think I know what I need fire. I think I have different words associated with it. Like the ancient bale fires, there were traditional components that always went into there. Was different ones depending on when it was. There were summer bale fires. There was still called bale fires, but there's summer and spring, those kind of bale fires where they're putting woods, fertility woods, in with the traditional woods. You know, your ash is not fun. As a sacred wood, but you wouldn't want to be burning that, pissing off the fairies. Okay. The woods change. The Irish and the witchcrafts, and definitely the Druids, they had an entire language of trees, which my name, Birch, derives. Birch of the world. It's the first letter in the Druidic alphabet, the first tree. I chose that name when I first started working in I recognized, you know, a witch store is what changed my life. I walked into a witch store, I met somebody there, they set me on a path that changed my life. I was in the business of changing lives by being the first person when they walked into the witch store, a doorway to the other world. And in this store, we were supposed to only be known by the other name. So we had to pick a name. That's how I picked this name, and then Uncle gets attached over time. I forget, probably because I'm old. But then, you know, now we got, you know, like Apollo. I don't know of any Apollo where they would be burning the stick, but I could see it. I could see lots of ways to use the sticks, but 21 sacred sticks, and each stick has a purpose. It'll be kept in the pot, and you know, when something comes along that needs to be done toward that stick, grind that stick. A lot of people have like a cheese grater, and they'll grind a magical powder from a polaro. Must be a lot different than a magical powder from a hoodoo practitioner. They're doing Apollo powder. Apollo powders will often look like sawdust. But then some people will go mix in the white powder, the cornstarch, which is traditional in hoodoo, that kind of thing. But so each one of those sticks, you grab the stick for that purpose. Many other rituals are done with these sticks. I haven't seen specifically burning those. I mean, you wouldn't want to burn the sticks out of your pot because those are supposed to last a long time. But you could get those equivalent sticks, the Apollos. Apollo means stick. So stick magic, for lack of a better word. Really quick question in there. Tips for brewing kaifi. Have a lot of time on your hands. If your kaifi's taking under 2 weeks to brew, weak-ass kaifi. Because even just the red wine process, you know, kaifi's got to be soaked in red wine like at least 3 times. Take that to dry. You got to spread it all out as flat as you can. So then you got to have a lot of room to batch. Then you got to grind the hell out of them. Honey, you know, the honey's more a lot of old incense is a binding agent. Probably because they got it from the Egyptians. Kaifi, that don't know, probably the most sacred in the Egyptian pantheon. So sacred that they chiseled certain temple in stone, stayed intact. There's what you have to substitute, and I can't think of the substitution offhand. Don't ask me a question right now. I saw that. Wait. I can't think of the main wood in traditional kaifi is extinct. Can't get it. I forget what that fucking wood is right now. If you have the recipe, you can refresh my mind. But you're gonna have to substitute that wood, or even skip it altogether. It's one component. With old recipes, we're gonna have to my best tip. If you haven't seen my video, go back there. incense prayers made visible. There, and it pisses off a lot of occult store owners, because if you do this thing, you'll spend a lot less money on charcoal, because a lot of incenses will burn without charcoal or with very little charcoal if you get the magic bullet. And I don't even know if they make the magic bullet now, I think, but basically the same thing, this grinder. Fuck mortar and pestle. I mortar and pestle certain stuff down to small enough components, and then it goes in to that grinder, because you can take almost anything to a fine enough dust and it will burn like an incense. In a pinch, if you have nothing else, I bet you go to your cupboard and find some cinnamon there. Cinnamon, take a nice little pile and pinch it, and it's going to burn. It's going to burn without anything. Cinnamon isn't magical incense used for a great many things. This is the vibration in a room. So that would be my advice. You know, after you dry everything out, a trick for this, you have to do the honey in small increments, doing the grinding, or you'll gum up the blade and then clean the blades. But kaifi, nothing like kaifi. No incense in the world like kaifi. And having said that, I should probably start making some, because I have none in stock, and whenever I do something like this, people try to order this stuff. So yeah, saw a couple. I'm at 41 minutes, and maybe do 15 minutes more. I got orders to a paying class to record stuff. Got work to do, man. Which work to do? So questions. Again, try not to ask me a question when I'm answering one. Hello from Missouri, Wileen. Man, people all over the states, other countries. I just randomly go on the air when I'm going to do this thing. I've been busy with again, I just started the year in a day classes February, and the demand's been so high I have to start another one May 1st. So I got a video announcing that. Not a whole lot of details on the video, but you can contact me at whichschool.com, which is of course WITCHSKEWL, and get details on how to get into the next course. And that way I might have to start a Sabbath, but better get in while the getting's good. Might just get rich and famous soon. Not want to teach. I'll still teach. It'll just cost more. Somebody was asking me, I said this on Facebook the other day, it's like, how did you, just for your class? I said, well, I went and I looked at what other teachers were charging. I saw what Raven Grimassi was charging for his classes each month. It's about $10 more, because Raven Grimassi's an author. I'll probably be an author, but I'm a teacher and a priest, and we shouldn't expect all of our authors to be teachers and priests. When you do the house spell, the lodestone house is still looking landlord. We do the lodestone to buy a house. Got it. It was a long question. The questions, like, they fade off the screen really quickly. What happens if I press this second? No. Okay, I don't want to do that. Trick for housing. Missed the end of the question there. Somebody's asking a question about my lodestone trick. Spell to find a home. YouTube channel. I would say if you find anyone here to put 3 drops of their blood on a lodestone, they probably got it from, and I'm cool with that. I don't need credit for it. It's ego boost enough just knowing that I'm not sighted enough. But maybe you can get that question in again. Hearing the sirens. Let's see. Let us come in. Let's see. Well, somebody's running from the cops. I like the lighting over here. I like the lighting better over here than over there. I don't know to stand here all day. Well, all right. Hopefully you can get that question in there about the lodestone buying a house. I think buying a house, renting a house, still same trick. God, I had such great success with that one. All right, somebody's talking about tiny flame, wax reading. There's a lot to wax reading, and I believe you said you did, so that means it was a glass candle. It was for Raphael. Really, really, disagree with a lot of people out there. A lot of the conventional wisdom that we have out there, signs of how a candle's burning. There were different standards back in the day. Back in the day, a 7-day glass candle, liquid paraffin, type of paraffin wax. It's really evil in. So great candles for dressing. Depending on what tradition you're coming from, everybody's got their techniques for doing that. Holes in the candles, putting herbs down in those holes, putting oils down in those holes, maybe even sigils rolled up in little pieces of paper down in the holes. Great stuff. The herbs stick to the top of it. Stupid people that put glitter on those candles. The glitter sticking glitter. But there were different standards. Our 7-day candles nowadays, not so much. And if you get them at Walmart or if you get them at the dollar store, I don't know what that wax is, but it's not liquid paraffin. I don't know some of that wax that they're using. So liquid paraffin tends to usually burn clean. Now the old rules were, if the wax or if the glass turns sign, you're probably being hexed, something like that. Somebody's working against the spell. If the flame burns too low, it's not enough energy to the spell. There's interference in the spell. Well, a lot of people are going to trim the wick, and you should trim the wick, because if the wick's too high, even on a liquid paraffin candle, it will burn black. If you've used too much oils or too much herbs or too much of the things that you loaded or dressed the candle with, it will turn black. It will turn the... Now, if you've trimmed it down too far, the flame is going to burn low. Or if you have too much oils, if you have, it's a very tricky, you know, there's some science to it. There's some experimentation. There's some experience loading candles. There's the right amount that's not going to turn into a raging fire glass. And then there's the wrong amount that's not enough. And then there's going to turn the glass black and crack the glass, that kind of shit. So a lot of those things that people taught, there were different standards for candles back then. Reading the drippings on a candle is an entirely other school. It's a divination art form that some people still engage in, but kind of irrelevant when we're dealing with glass candles anyways. I had been known to take the glass candles and boil, kind of just let it, nothing after the thing. I had to fax documents today to rent a house. I can't do to secure it. Okay, so you had to fax it to secure the house. You know, house, something that you can reach trick. Is a lodestone trick. You're going to put 3 drops of your blood on the lodestone. You're going to bury it in the dirt near the front of the house. The entranceway by the front. for that kind of thing, if you're not in the location with the house, we could put the lodestone on the documentation overnight. If you can't, if you got to fax it right away, rub back, because if you rub it on the front, it's going to mark. Careful, don't tear the paper. Rub the lodestone, and then shake it off. If it's your fax machine, you don't get in there. Probably, I'm thinking in that scenario, there is also oil people will make, where, and you know, typically that's, you know, a carrier oil that has some lodestones sitting in it for a couple months, predetermined amount of time. You leave the lodestones in forever, and it's getting charged all the time. And that kind of thing with document magic, where we're trying to draw something to us, just get a little bit of that oil on our finger, edges of the document, not enough to where it makes any sense to the document, but you currently live close enough to it. You could do both of these things. Do that to the document. I should just add that to the housing spell, because I used to do document magic like that in college. Edges of the scantrons, which we used to take tests on these on the computers. Used to do that. Your covert anointing of things, paperwork to influence people on the other end of things, just kind of anointing the edges of the paper. But so yeah, you're close enough. I would, if you haven't done the lodestone trick yet, I would want the lodestone in the ground before faxing the document. However, magic really knows no bounds sometimes. I view magic as a science. Science requires taking notes. So I've taken a lot of notes, a lot of experimentation. You do this, that, and the other on this day and in this time of the month. And then a couple months later, you look back and see what happened. And then if you steps, hopefully you can get similar results. The problem is that variables can't be tracked. There's too many energies here for us to track all of them. That's why it's really important to track all the ones we can. The moon, the cycles of the earth, track as many variables as we can, so our experiments. So what I found in this, there are quite often very mundane mechanisms that bring the station of the magic into our lives. A person walks, bringing us that thing that we did the spell for. If we worked with a deity, something reminding us of that deity, we'll bring it into our life. Some ironic twist connected with that deity will bring that thing into our life. But the mechanism that brings it is mundane and can be tracked. I can go back and look at that mechanism later and see how, oh, well, affected B, which affected C, which made D walk into my office that check. But I found that sometimes A was affected before I did the first thing, befell. A lot of times, as I'm gathering things to do the spell, as I'm preparing for the spell, statement of intent for the spell, the gear to manifest the thing, magic, time travels. If it was necessary for the gears to be turning back here before the spell was, now magic has a way to go back and start those gears turning before you. My experimentation has shown this time. My experimentation has also shown that you need to do the spell anyways. Gears are started. These gears are started because somewhere over here in the history, we went back here to affect this thing over here. We need to follow through to do the thing that we're going to do. Hello, Regina. I hope I answered the question. I think that was something. I wonder if that's how the Mandela effect happens. I view magically. Like when the person asked about my views on war, and I study warfare, I think, how does that apply to magic? And that's why I came up with spiritual warfare and teach a course in that. So yeah, well, in the Mandela effect, that's well, in the first place, but I see, yes, I see those connections in all things, and I have seen other spiritual philosophies express or attempt to express what I'm trying to express here, but that's how I'm going to break it down in our current language: magic, time, and space, and if it has to bring the manifestation, that's what it'll do. It will follow. It needs. I usually, I'll aim at my target, but all the places that it gets there. A spell to do on astral projections. Somebody asked. On the astral plane, but a spell for astral plane. Not so much. My problem is with that. I see in my mind a graph that I was taught as a young man called the ladder of the astral planes. And like this. And these planes have a polarity. This plane is a reflection of the opposite of this plane. This plane is a reflection of the opposite of this plane. At a very mundane, low levels, lower. The first astral planes start at lower spiritual levels, lower than animals, probably at the level of plants, and they move up. And when you get up to these, up here, these are like the higher self, your high planes, angelic planes where if you reached them, you might not come back. So you didn't play around a lot going there. Now, we would go on astral planes and play around and do stuff. That is witchcraft. But the reason that we were taught it that way is as a huge amount of spell. We are creating a physical form to work magic on. The reason we're doing that is just that for everything physical here, everything physical here has an etheric double on the astral plane. An object has a spiritual or ethereal version of it on the astral plane, and that both of these must exist. Magic to make this physical thing be the representation of the desire, it creates its ethereal on one of these planes. The plane that we're aiming is rather high because the ethereal form of the manifestation then flip-flops between polarities, positive, negative, and build. Our hope is, because we built the etheric up here, and then down here, we wipe the physical version out of existence. And nature abhors a vacuum. She has to have a physical component there. The astral component is energy and destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. So she has to move to occur here. Was that we did it properly enough to where the physical manifestation that she causes to occur isn't a candle or a sigil. That she's the actual man of what the physical object represented. Wow, been a while since I've tried to. I think I'm doing all right. So, New Age, when people talk about astral projection, they're talking to the astral plane and flying around and doing stuff. I can't get past that because in my mind, planes, and they are different levels of existence, all of the same things, versions and components of those things. Like we got a ethereal double of this thing here and another level double here and another one. Oh, no. That. Yes. How to attract money. Somebody just said, I think my laws of attraction covers some of that. I gotta shut the damn bell up again. Let's see. I stuffed a leaf in it last time. This time I'm gonna put 2 leaves. Hold on a second. And I see somebody typing something, but okay, there's lots of ways to attract money. And they're on my page already. The money magnet sigil, for one. I highly suggest videos. Hide a sigil in plain sight. It's using a different sigil method than to destroying the sigil with the astral plane and the forcing nature to abhor a vacuum and all that. To hide a sigil in plain sight, everyone that looks upon the sigil and gives it any energy whatsoever, the sigil becomes stronger. This in a public space, done very publicly and in a way that caused a lot of to the coven at a restaurant on the patio with a lot of drinks. We're really loud and vocal about it. It got everyone to look at us as and then I posted on YouTube, and that's a pretty old video. I think it's like 4 years old. So all the people, thousands of hits, all the people that have watched that, that have used that sigil, that have given that sigil any kind of energy, it gets stronger. I talk about, you know, PO in there. I got before I moved back down to Southern California, there was some people that sent me a message. My sigil posted at the freeway entrances to the 605 and the 405. So all of those people in rush hour traffic trying to get on the freeway, stuck in the carpool lane, waiting behind the light, even their angst, even their anger rage, energizes the sigil. Use the money magnet sigil. It's a great one. Outside of that, well, this that expensive, but it is an ancient Hollywood fashion from the 80s, this particular jacket, and I won't explain that. But before I moved here, I had a relative that lived here in Hollywood, and every time they sent me Prada, Zakroff, and Volterra, expensive Italian designer clothes. And I just stick them in my closet. And not a fancy guy. It dawned on me. It's money. It represents money. It's a symbol of money to the rest of the world. Like they say, you want not the job. You have a job. I want us to be rich. Should be your job too. I do good things with the money. Be honest, we wouldn't turn it down. People trying to ask me questions. Well, I'm answering a question. I can't answer a question if you do that. So that occurred to me. So then I started donning the Prada, the Armani, the Zakroff, the expensive Italian suits. I think I did a video in that. I wore an Armani suit for the video. The dress, you know, wear the money. And then I talked about that on my friend Beeswax show. He talked about even when he was, you know, poor, and I think he was even homeless, he could find designer clothes at the thrift store. And even though he didn't have the amount of money, to the world they represent money. Asians, they're symbols, if you will, of money. Wore those things. Or the expensive jewelry. Wear it. Go out and put on nice things. I have found, and it makes it really hard to save for a better future, when I make the most money is when I'm throwing the most money, when I'm eating and drinking and having a good time and tip when it comes in. On it, trying to save for something. So, of attraction, which send out, comes in. I'm at 65 minutes. So, I'll do one question. Wow. Time flew. I got one more question in this episode. If you get it in first, you'll be the first. And I'll answer that question. And the rest of you will just have to wait till next time I decide to do this and have your question ready. But Ask Uncle Volume 8. Coming to an end here. I got to go do some other witcheries. So, got a question? Type it up quick. Try not to be too long-winded because it doesn't. It's enough for me to read it sometimes. I'm seeing nothing. You people don't type fast enough, or you're using your thumb on your phone. Maybe, you know, this would be good next time. Next time. I missed the Sacred Clown. Sacred Clown Hail. I don't know. I don't know who the Sacred Clown is. Actually, that doesn't mean a question, that one. Don't know of this Sacred Clown. Does the time of the moon matter for the mode? AG. I don't know what the AG is, but now mojo bags traditionally hoodoo. In conjure, but we see it in grieve bags, similar spell bags in witchcraft. Oh, BG was bag. Okay, spell bags in witchcraft. It is a common idea that a lot of people end up borrowing a lot of techniques. I've seen, traditional mojo bags that have sigils from in them. The Jews are not hollering about cultural appropriation. Even though it is not a traditional component of hoodoo, a gathering of folk magics from Africa and America and everybody that arrived in America, and specifically peasants. And peasants and slaves interacted pretty often, and even though they were whites and they were black, magic did get shared, maybe appropriated, all of these things, but these ideas did get exchanged one way or another. Spiritual ideas exchanged one way or another, so they end up being gathered. Just because hoodoo didn't recognize the powers of the moon does not negate the powers of the moon. You cannot argue with the powers of the moon. We are mostly water. The moon affects tides. The moon's tides affect everything here. Everything within us is moved. Our blood and water within us is moved. Energy as such is moved through the salt water or by our bodies to conduct the electricity that runs all of our systems. I have done full moon rituals where I just didn't even talk about the moon as a goddess. I talked about the component, a planetary. The moon didn't do exactly what the moon does. We would not be here as such. Our ancestors would not have left and crawled upon the land if the tides had not thrown them upon the beaches. And they would not have had to evolve to live in water and on land and eventually become land-based mammals. Something, sure, but this would not. This would not exist like this without the moon. being the way the earth was. The waves were made, the tides and the water, the waters, the heavenly bodies. You know, like so the common dinosaur is probably a large portion of our oceans. We then evolved from. It would not have happened that way been for the gravitational pull of the moon, making tides, washing our ancestors for once upon a time. Praise the moon. Thank y'all for joining me. See you next time for number, or we'll see you in my next class starting May 1st. Go check out the contact me at witchschool@gmail.com. CHSKEWL, or you can see a lot of my other teachings and download them for a nominal price.com/witchschool. That, of course, is WITCHSKEWL. Impatient? You don't want to take a year a day to take a course? Just watch long witchcraft. Just download them. Binge watch them. So many ways to learn in newfangled ways.